Hi everyone, we are Group 7 and today we are going to talk about the form and organization of news stories.
Modern news form. The news form that evolved through the latter half of the 19th century were not consciously contrived. No newspaper genius sat down and invented the modern news story. Nevertheless, the newspaper came into the 20th century with a new form that was organized to help the reader and assure them a reasonably speedy reading of the news. The two chief developments is the newspaper headlines and the lead and summary story form. The headline, as everyone knows, is a device for describing briefly in readily legible type the most salient points of a story. It is both the newspaper's index and its showcase. It enables the reader to decide at a glance whether the story is for him. The second is the lead and summary form of news stories. Start with a quick roundup of the major facts of the story, of its central idea or ideas, and summarize for the reader's acceptance or rejection. Then, the subordinate facts are summarized and arranged in order of decreasing importance. This story form has been given various labels. The most is inverted pyramid. According to news theory, when a reader's eye catches the headline, his judgments tell him in a flash whether he wants to read the story. If he decides to go on, he reads the lead and the selective process continues. If the lead holds his attention, he goes on to read the elaboration. Perhaps after reading the few paragraphs summarizing the most important detail, he has had enough. The stories provide convenient stopping place. In his interest persists, he can continue through the succeeding segment of the stories, either to another break-off point or to the end of the story.
B. Unity in news stories. First, briefly and simply. News writing means that a well-organized story is encompassed to make one main point. Means that a well-organized story is plain and compassed so as to make one main point. Number two, a unified news story. A unified news story constructed by one central idea and tell the reader one basic story. It attempts to tell the reader only one basic story. Number three, in composition and speech. In composition and speech, chronological order is a method of organization in which action or event are presented as they occur in time and can also be called time or linear order. Narratives and process analysis essays commonly rely on chronological order, although the chronological form is used more often in human interest stories than in stories primarily of the straight news type. And then you must repeat that reading because a story is exceedingly hard.
The next topic is beginning the story. In beginning a story, there is lead. It is the beginning to writing any story. Cause a lead gives the reader the broad sense of what the story will cover. The next, choose the angle of the story. Stories covering the same things can differ depending on the angle the writer chooses. Writers should start with an interesting angle as well as emphasize the news, to avoid misleading readers and stating the obvious. So, the reader will be curious and interested to read the news by starting read the title of the news. Then, crafting the lead. Leads are a crucial but tricky part to any story. The journalism textbook reporting for the media says leads should attempt to answer the following 5 questions, such as: first, what is the most important information? What is the story center point? Second, what was said or done about the topic? What happened or what action was taken? Third, what are the most recent developments? What happened today or yesterday? Fourth, which facts are most likely to affect or interest the readers? And the last one, which facts are most unusual? So, it means the leads must answer 5W1 each. That who, what, where, when, why, and how in stories. And remember that leads should underscore that the news is new information to the readers. Also something worthy of their thought after they have shut the laptop or left the paper. So to be a good journalist, practice is the key to writing effective leads. It often requires cautions and multiple revisions.
What should we do when we want to begin to write a story? There are some rules in writing a new story. The first is we must plan what we are going to write. Then we decide what major effect to put in the lead. And then we must decide how to word the opening paragraph. And the last one is we must make an outline mentally the reminder of the story. That's all about our presentation. So if you guys have a question, please kindly tell us through WhatsApp group and let's discuss together. And also, please remind us if we do some mistakes or if there are anything that not clear. Thank you.